My gosh darn computer got sick, and that's why I haven't been updating lately. Isn't that just suck? I had like 2 videos set up, like editing them and everything. I was all macho and getting into it. Macho editor. And then you know what ends up happening? Well, computer gets sick with a virus. I have no idea where it came from. It came completely from left field, just logged in one day. There's a huge ass virus. So now I've been spending most of my free time, rather than lurking around YouTube and using my computer, playing my 2 new PS3 games that I got through GameStop, thanks to me, like, swapping out half of my game collection. Because, you know, when you have old games that you never play anymore, it's good to just throw them to other people, like GameStop, who will give you game credits for it. And then you can get awesome new games, like Final Fantasy XIII and Heavy Rain, which are the 2 games that I'm playing right at this particular moment. And so far, I'm just going to give my personal, unscripted reactions to these Pew? No, why did I say Pew? Ugh. These Pew masterpieces. There we go. I think instead of saying 2, everybody should just say Pew now. That should become a meme, because I said so. So anyways, let's start off with Heavy Rain, which I personally think so far is an absolute masterpiece. Masterpiece. Now, maybe that's a little too strong of a word, because there are quite a few issues with the game, actually. The fact that there's so many, like, little graphical glitches that happen every so often. I mean, people's arms go through things, and character animations don't always match up quite the way they should. But so far, this game is very unique. It's basically it's kind of a next-gen adventure game, but it really takes the genre to different heights. There's definitely this sort of interactive movie feel to it, but each one of your different actions during certain points in the game ends up affecting the overall outcome. There's 18 different endings you can get. I've heard 22 by some people. I'm not quite sure. 18, 22, whatever. But I'm almost done. I'm almost up to my first ending. And man, oh man, this game is absorbing. The characters are great. The writing is fantastic. The only complaint anybody can have presentation-wise is that, well, the voice work sucks. For the most part, the voice work really sucks. I mean, they just take lines that would ordinarily be, you know, normal. They would be fine. And they just sound so bad. The delivery sometimes just sounds like this. It sounds like a high school play. Just sitting here going, ugh, why did you do this? I think it's mostly because I'm pretty sure the game is foreign. Can't quite. I should probably do research before I do rants. But this definitely does feel as if it was dubbed over in English and it was supposed to be in another language. But who knows? Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just delusional here. It's playing it thus far. It's so absorbing. It's so interesting. And it's so unique that I would recommend it to just about anybody who's into this sort of thing. Who's into the interactive movie, kind of light novel. Not light novel, but anybody who's like into visual novels or adventure games, like the old-fashioned adventure games, like Monkey Island and that sort of thing, where you point and click. This is really something else. I mean, I'm impressed and immersed. You can't say anything without giving away too many spoilers. But man, oh man, some of the stuff is so sick. I felt disgusted with myself by some of the actions that I took in this game. It really tests your morality as far as, like, you know, how far would you be willing to go to save save somebody. I didn't say who, but that's on the back of the cover, so it's okay. How far would you be willing to go to save someone you love? That's the basic theme of this entire magnum opus. I haven't gotten to the ending yet, but I am so close that I believe my first impressions could almost be made into a review. Unless, of course, they screw the whole thing up right at the end, and I'll just be sitting there going, "Why did you do that?" But for right now, my personal opinion on the game is I would honestly give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's really quite excellent, and go check it out. Now, a game I'm becoming less and less impressed by the more and more I play it is Final Fantasy XIII. Which, for all intents and purposes, is a Final Fantasy game, obviously, if you couldn't tell by the title there. Final Fantasy XIII feels like I've only been in the game for about 6 or 7 hours now. I'm certainly not, you know, far enough in that I can make a really influenced opinion. But thus far, very pretty and not all that much substance. I'm sitting back wondering, you know, for a game that's been in development for this long, how come they couldn't come up with a more interesting system than this? For one thing, the game level caps you, which at first sounds like a really great idea, because you can't really level whore yourself out of an encounter. During certain points in the game, it basically says, you're only allowed to level up to here, and you can't level up beyond that. And you go, oh, okay, that's... At first, when I heard that, I was like, okay, that'll make sense. So you can level up a little bit, you can power up your characters and everything, but you can't, become so overpowered that you're just going to trample over everything. This isn't really the case, as you'll find yourself pretty much capping your characters pretty much every 10 minutes or so. Once the new sphere grid, once the next part in this particular grid system is opened up, the leveling, you'll cap that so quickly that you'll just have to wait until you get to the next portion in the story that allows you to level up further. For me, this is very disappointing because, I love to level up. Part of what makes Final Fantasy interesting isn't necessarily the combat, and this is how I feel about most RPGs. It's all about feeling as if your characters are really developing. And that's something that Final Fantasy has always done very well, in my opinion. In Final Fantasy X, it was done perfectly. I loved the sphere grid system. It really felt like, you were in control of where your characters were going, even when you weren't necessarily in control of where your characters are going. And this, it very much feels as if the game is just sort of saying, yeah, when you get points to be able to get upgrades for your characters, this is where you're going to go. You really don't have much choice about, how your characters are going to develop. They're sort of already given predetermined roles, and that's pretty much it. The story... I thought it was great at first. I was sitting here going, okay, this is going to get interesting because you have all these different archetypes that I love. You have like the silent warrior chick. You've got the other guy who's, of course, the black guy who's hilarious, even though he's kind of racially insensitive. But they're Japanese. What can you say? No, that's racially insensitive of me to say. It's just all these archetypes that we've seen so many times before. And, at first, I just sort of accepted it and went, well, it's a Final Fantasy game. They don't really seem to be going anywhere thus far. Can't make great judgments on this kind of stuff just by playing a game for several hours, but I don't really think these characters are going to become really fleshed out, living, kind of flesh and blood people to me, which is something that's always important in an RPG. I want to feel as if, these people could actually exist. In this, they're just archetypes. They're fun archetypes, and the cutscenes are certainly entertaining to watch, but it's just the same as watching, an average sci-fi anime. There's nothing spectacular here, story-wise. It's pretty generic. So I'm disappointed, obviously. I'm still having fun with it, still going to aim for getting a platinum on my PS3 for it. And, it's quite addictive for me because whenever I get a new Final Fantasy game, I have to devour it. It's kind of my quota to do so. Right now, if I was going into this without the expectations of a Final Fantasy game, I think I'd be enjoying it a lot more. I think I would be going, oh, wow, this is actually a really great JRPG. But as a Final Fantasy game, right at this particular moment, I feel rather deflated. It might take some time to recover and actually give a proper analysis. So I'm going to stick with a 7 out of 10 for now. It's certainly not anything spectacular. It doesn't live up to the hype at all thus far. Alright, this is My Profile is Great, and I will be signing out. Hopefully I'll actually be able to edit together real videos soon. But I'm just feeling like doing rants right now because rants are fun. Yay, rant.